All
Here we
right,
go.
all right, all right, man. We're back. We're back. This is not the Disrupt Education podcast, but we're disrupting each and every time we get on this live. LinkedIn, for those who don't know, make sure you check us out. You got disrupteducation.co, Peter Hostraw's or dgsacks.com here. Man, we're in the month of March. We're marching through 2024
Yeah.
already. Q2 approaching. Man, talk to me. What's going on? How are you feeling? Scale of 1 to 10 today. How are you feeling today?
11, man.
Oh,
It's a good day,
okay.
man.
Yeah,
Weather's kind of mild this time of year. We got
yeah,
spring
yeah,
break coming up. I love this time of year because the days, even though we got that time change thing that messes everybody
yeah,
up, but the days
right.
are getting longer with light.
Yeah,
Baseball season's around the corner.
yeah.
Setting up my announcing for that. It's a great time. It's a great time to be out and about.
Love to hear it. And kind of, speaking more to that, when we talk about the temperature and like reading a room, and I think about even just my experience in sales, you have to be able to read the room. When you're on the
Mhm.
phone, you have to kind of be able to match tone, be able to understand what the client is doing, where they're coming from. How are you doing that actively in the classroom, right? Like, are you adjusting day to day? Is it based on the students that are in the class, or do you have a consistent approach each and every day? Like, no matter what, I'm sticking to this, and maybe X, Y, and Z changes. Just kind of talk to me about
Yeah.
that a little bit.
No, it's a yes and on that. Each
Okay.
class is its own culture, really. Depending on who's in it,
Mm,
what are the personalities in the class, where the class is, the
yeah.
ergonomics of a classroom. It really is honestly, depending on what part of the day.
Yeah.
I have some classrooms, unfortunately, there is no natural light in the classroom, which we're going to
Right.
be talking to an architect and a designer of schools coming up on the podcast. So a little plug there. How
Okay.
much that
Nice.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just see who's in the classroom. What are the ages? What are the ranges of
Yeah.
understanding? Where did they come out? Understanding like entrepreneurship or internship or what have you. There are always like an A, B, maybe even a C for that day that I wanted to get across. So
Right.
how I do it is where, the sandbox comes in.
Yeah.
Certain classes really, really are energetic, and then certain classes are just dead. They just don't want to talk or anything like that. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of, maneuver your skill sets. That's why it's hard for a new teacher to come in and because you want to do
Yeah.
everything the same all the way through. And yeah, it's easier that way, but it
Yeah.
just doesn't work that way. So yeah, I would say it's a combination of doing A and B and then trying to sandbox everything else in there. Just reading that room just like you do when you're reading a room
Yeah.
in an event. You have to
Yeah.
read the room and work with students and try to figure out, okay, where do we need to go? How can I
Yeah.
help you? So yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically what I look at.
So you talked about being a new teacher. I'm curious to know if maybe we'll take a lane I can't even talk.
It's all right.
Back down memory lane as a new teacher,
There we
Pete,
go.
right?
Yeah.
Like did you feel like you were trying to like please the students more so than yourself, or like who do you feel like had more control of the room, like when you started off as a
That's an
teacher?
interesting question. I think when I go back into my own teaching, what I was trying to do is to really have them understand the curriculum rather than me
Yeah.
understanding them first.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it was like, oh wait, I have this new stuff and it's really cool, and you guys got to go
Yeah.
for it, and da 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 da. And it wasn't me trying to be liked by them. It was more me just like trying to be excited to say, "Hey, man, you're
Right.
about to learn something that can change your life." Da 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 da. Rather than understanding who they are and where they were at.
Right.
And that's more. I didn't want to read the room. It was like you got a great song, but maybe not everybody likes that genre of music, right?
Sure.
So what I had to figure out is what kind of music people like, and then give it,
Hmm.
hand them the curriculum, whatever it is, in that certain sense. But yeah, I think, in the early, it's crazy. I've been in this game for 22 years. There's different ways that
Yeah.
teacher schools teach you. There's a lot of like classroom management and stuff, but classroom management has changed so much. I mean, you really have to understand, the mindset of students, the mental capacity of where they're at
Yeah.
any certain time. You really have to, empathy is probably the one of the biggest things, especially for Gen Z.
Right.
And what is their, yeah, their we're creating a work-life balance in schools. And
Sure.
there's more life now than work.
Yeah.
That when I say work, that's more schoolwork. So you have to kind of
Right.
tie that into lives. And I found the more that I do that, the better it is. It's still, I mean, difficult to get everybody. But yeah, that's the challenge, and I really like it. I really love doing that.
Absolutely. The last thing I'm curious to ask you about is once you've kind of observed or assessed the culture of each
Mhm.
class, you kind of know the 1 to 2 students that are really more proactive. They're going to ask the questions,
Mhm.
right? They want to apply themselves and really learn and take the most out of it.
Mhm.
Um, Once you start seeing that, do you kind of start facilitating responsibility a little bit more onto them to kind of be the example for the class? Or even like if they say, you know what, Mr. Hostrawser, like I'm a sophomore, but I could see you being my teacher for the next 3 years.
Mhm.
Is there things now in the high school system where you can set up a track where a student can work with you for the next 3 years in some
Mhm.
capacity so that you are, finding ways to scale their skill sets where they're good at? How does that look long term?
Yeah, I think that's a really up to the individual teacher.
Right,
It's
right.
the first
Yeah.
and foremost, leaders are going to lead, right? And I give
Right.
my leading students, the students who are extrinsic, they want to be out in front of people, the
Yeah.
opportunity to do that. It's
Right.
not that I force everybody. I mean, we have some in the entrepreneurship classes. We have students who are great ideators. They're like, yeah, I got this
Uh-huh.
idea and I got that idea. And then we also have the students who are not ideators, but they are maybe the operations person, and they're going to be
Okay.
quiet. So I used to try to shove everybody into each, part of the entrepreneurship project that they were working on, but now I really just kind of take a look at them, and we have a conversation about, where are your strengths. So
Right.
within a classroom, that's kind of how I work that, and ask the students, what are you comfortable with, and then try to get them on it just a little bit outside of that comfort zone. I used to want them to just leap over the Grand Canyon, but that doesn't never work.
Right.
So and
Yeah.
then as far
Yeah.
as like a student going, for the remainder of their year, saying they're a sophomore or whatnot, there's always like business classes that we always say, you can take these courses. We have an
Yeah.
intervention, so we have
Yeah.
a second period where students can come in on a daily basis, 3 times a week, and do that. And then there's just also I'm connected with students on LinkedIn and SpikeView, where we're conversating there
Right.
in the professional world. And I keep those relationships open. But yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll pop open to like a disrupt education club like I used to,
Sure.
something like that. I do make connections with a lot of students in their sports and different things like that as well. So yeah, I mean, it's constant. Are they always going to be in a classroom with me? Probably not, because I'm very limited in that capacity. But I still
Sure.
have, for example, a young man who's writing scripts. He is a script writer for shows and stuff, and he is
Yeah.
going to be, because the kid is crazy awesome at it, and he'll show up to
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
intervention here and there, and we'll unpack it every once in a while. Safe space for him
Very
to
nice.
work. So that's how I
Love it.
grow those opportunities.
Man, that's great. And I'm glad that you spoke to that because, I can speak firsthand, working with you back in high school and having a consistent experience of being able to go back to you and ask those open-ended questions. And even to this day now, I mean, we have open-ended questions and
Mhm.
conversations about all types of things, life related, real estate related, you name it. And having a relationship like that can really be a game changer, especially for someone that is in high school right now listening to this. If you've got an English teacher, if you've got a math teacher that you really have established a good rapport with, you all have good chemistry. Like, figure out a way to build that relationship because you never know how far that can take you into the future and how that can then stem into potential new connections that you can have. So, a lot of value there, and hone in on that. So, appreciate you sharing your thoughts as always. If you guys don't follow it already, the Disrupt Education podcast is on all platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. Make sure you go check out Peter Hostrawser at disrupteducation.co. I am DG Sachs, dgsachs.com for your latest events coming up. Make sure you book because we got 2025 filling up pretty quick. Uh, but until next time, we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. Take care.